Good morning, my dear students. I hope you people are safe at your home and enjoying your virtual classes. Today we are going to continue the chapter number 2, that is elements, compounds and mixtures. So let's begin. In the previous classes, we have studied about the separation of mixtures. We have studied various methods such as sieving. Then we have studied about magnetic separation also. Now in today's class, we are going to study a process of separation that is known as sedimentation and decantation. Okay, now and also we'll be going to perform an activity that shows the process of sedimentation and decantation. The earlier two processes that we had studied are sieving and magnetic separation and sublimation. Today we are going to study sedimentation and decantation. Okay, now sedimentation is a process in which what happens, the heavier particles, they settle down. Okay, and this process is generally used to separate a solid and a liquid mixture. Means one of the components will be solid and the other component will be liquid. Okay, and the what is the basis, or what is this method based on? This method is based on the difference in the weight of the component. For example, the particles or the components that are heavier will settle down. Okay, or for example, we have seen our mothers washing pulses rice in water. What happens after some time? The rice or the pulses, they settle down. Okay, and what a clear liquid is separated from the mixture. Okay, so we can say that sedimentation is a process in which the insoluble particles in a liquid are allowed to settle down at the bottom of the container. You can also understand this by a simple process. Take a beaker or take a glass, okay, and or any other thing which you want, and you add some water into it and put some sand into it and stir it properly. After some time, we see that the sand settles down at the bottom of the container. Okay, so this is the basis of this method, that sand is heavier than the water, so it settles down. Okay, now what we have to keep the mixture undisturbed for some time also. So the heavier particles will settle down and a clear liquid is separated from the mixture. Now, what is sediment and what is supernatant? Now, during the process of sedimentation, the mixture is kept undisturbed for some time so that the heavier insoluble solid components, they settle down at the bottom of the mixture due to the force of gravity. Now, this solid component that settles down during the process of sedimentation is known as the sediment. We can say the solid particles. Now, in case of sand and water mixture, that activity be performed, in that case, the sand is the sediment and the clear water is the supernatant. Okay, now what is supernatant? The layer of clear liquid that is found on the top of the sediment is known as the supernatant liquid. Okay, is known as the supernatant liquid. Now this clear liquid is poured into the another container without disturbing the sediments. Okay, without disturbing the sediments. The way we have seen in our homes also sometimes. Okay, after sedimentation, the process of removing that clear liquid, that layer of clear liquid, is known as the decantation, the process of decantation. Okay, now what happens ki the process it is very carefully the container is tilted and the liquid is poured into another container, and the solid components or the solid substances are left undisturbed. Okay, so the process of pouring out the upper layer of clear liquid in without disturbing the sediment or the solid is known as the decantation. Okay, this is known as the process of decantation. Now, sedimentation and decantation methods, they are generally used at our home also while washing the pulses. Okay, now what happens? The upper layer of water that contains the impurities or any thing that is any of the impurities that is present is removed, and the sediments, that is these pulses, they are retained back. That though, so the water that is removed is known as the supernatant, and the remains, that is the pulses, the sediments are the known as the sediment, and that is the solid component. Now, this sedimentation technique is also used in the water treatment plants for the purification of water, and also as a result of which this water becomes usable, or it becomes usable before it is being supplied to our homes. Now in water treatment plants, what happens, the chemicals such as alum, that is um, added to make the sedimentation process. Now it is added to the water so that the impurities, they stick to the alum and forms big lumps. Okay, and these big lumps, as they are heavy, they settle down, and a clear liquid is obtained. Now this process is known as loading. The process of removing the fine insoluble impurities from water in water treatment plants is known as loading. Let us now perform an activity to separate the mixture of sand and water using the sedimentation and decantation methods. For this experiment, we require 2 beakers, sand, water, and a glass rod. So now what we'll do, we'll fill the beaker with water and we'll put some sand into it. Okay, and then we'll use a glass rod to mix the contents and stir it properly. And now what we'll do, we'll keep the container beaker to undisturbed. We'll keep it aside and will not touch it for few hours. After some time, we see that the sand particles, they settle down at the bottom of the beaker. Why this happens? This happens because the sand particles, they are very heavy than water. They are heavier in comparison to water. Okay, and a clear layer of liquid is seen at the bottom, at the top of the sand. Okay, now of that sand that is settled down. Now here the sand is known as the sediment, and the clear liquid is known as the uh, supernatant. Okay, now without disturbing the sand or the sediments of the sand, we can gently pour out the upper layer of the liquid of water into another beaker. Okay, so the first beaker, in the first beaker there is sediment, that is sand, and in the another beaker there is supernatant. So by this process we can separate, or the insoluble solid components of a mixture in a that are mixed in a liquid can be easily separated by using the sedimentation and decantation method. So this is all for today. Read the portion carefully and read the portion carefully, and then try to do this activity at home. Okay. Um, and that's all for today. I hope you understood well. If you have any query, then ask me in the CI Soft Care app. Also, one thing, you have to draw the diagrams wherever it is necessary. You don't have to paste the pictures. Okay, don't paste the pictures, or don't get the photocopy done and paste it in the copy. You have to draw the diagrams, because in the examination diagrams are asked. Okay, so take care of yourselves. Thank you.